Hello, welcome to AllCBTs. My name is David, and in today's special tutorial, we'll be taking GCE Literature in English likely questions that you would encounter in this year exam. So, ride with me along, and if you are yet to be subscribed to the channel, you should do so now by smashing the subscribe button so that when we update these questions or add new ones, you'll be notified and you can come and practice along with us. Now, let's go into it. Now, at the commencement or at the ending of every section, you would often have instructions. It's always smart to read those instructions and understand them, okay, because the instruction will tell you the way the questions would go, right? So in this case now, this is the instructions for the exam, okay, at the beginning of the exam. It says, answer all questions, meaning you must not omit anyone, otherwise you lose marks. Choose the option from A to D that best completes each statement or answers the question. All right, so let's see those questions now. So we begin with the first category. So in putting this together, we have done it in such a way that they are in categories, section by section of the NABTEB Literature in English Assessment test. So the first category is general knowledge, okay, which NABTEB would want to test your general knowledge of literature in English. Question 1. A play that ends unhappily because of the downfall of the protagonist is called a dash. The first question in your mind when you see this is, who is a protagonist, or a protagonist rather? So a protagonist is often the central character in a play, okay, either a drama, a prose, whatever. Question 2. The use of language where the intended meaning is the opposite of what is stated is dash. The use of language where the intended meaning, this is what to focus on. The intended meaning is the opposite of what is stated is dash. For example, the person walks into a building, it's a raining day or it's a stormy day, okay, the storm is hitting the roof, okay, and somebody enters into the building and signs like, wow, what a pleasant day. So what's that statement? What's that expression? That expression is an irony, okay? So a use of language where what the person is trying to, what the person means is different from what is literally said. Yes, such an expression is called an irony. Question 3. In literature, a protagonist is best described as the dash. A protagonist in literature, I already said a little of it in question 2. So in literature, a protagonist is best described as the dash. The protagonist is the hero or the central character, is the main character in literature, the main event or the hero in the literature. Okay. Then question 4. A sonnet is a poem of how many lines? How many lines are in a sonnet? 14 lines. So a sonnet is a poem of 14 lines. These are straight questions and straight answers. Question 5. The repetition of consonant sounds at the beginning of words is called dash. Repetition of consonant sounds, like the piper picked a peck of pickled pepper. You must have had something like that. Yes, so that's a repetition of consonant sound at the beginning of a word. It's called an alliteration. What if it's repetition of vowel sounds? Okay, because just as we have consonant sounds, we have vowel sounds. In the case of vowel sounds, it's assonance. All right, it's consonant sounds, alliteration. Never forget it. All right, question 6 now. Which of the following is not a form of drama? So obviously, one of these is not a form of drama. We already saw, I think in question 1, a tragedy is a form of drama that has a bad or negative, terrible ending. Yeah? Okay, we have comedy. You know comedy now. Of course, you watch a lot of comedy, which has been watered down to skits these days. Then we have farce. What's farce? Just a nonsense, exaggerative kind of put together like a play. Okay, maybe somebody hiding inside a cupboard and everybody is looking for the person. It's called a farce. You have ode. What's an ode? Ode is like somebody praising. It's like praise, adulation that is given to a character. Okay, like all these. Let me use an example now. All these area touts. So a man is driving in his car, a big car, a fancy big car, and these area touts raise their hands and begin to chant praises. So those praises are called ode in the English or literature language. So which of the following is not a form of drama? Which of these does not belong here? The answer is ode. Ode does not belong there. It's not a form of drama. The others are. Okay? Question 7. Now, so we're done with that section. We move to the next section. If you have enjoyed this video up until this time, you've watched up to this very point, it tells that you like it, you are enjoying the content. So why not smash the like button to show that yes, it's good quality, okay, so that YouTube can suggest it to a broader view of people. Now we'll go on to the next section on prose. Now this one has a prose. We're going to read the prose and then we have to take the questions from 7 to 11. The sun had barely risen when Ada set out for the market. Her basket was light, but her heart was heavy. She had promised her younger brother she would return with food. Yet the prices of goods had doubled overnight. As she trudged along, she wondered, it's a little bit covered, I can read it. She wondered how she could keep a promise. Right, so this is a prose. So before you attend the questions, you need to understand what the prose is about. And in this prose, we can see an elder sister or an older sister to the younger one. I want to believe that they probably are orphans because she's alone with her younger one and she happens to be like the breadwinner for a family. That's her, the younger. We don't know how many younger ones she's got, right? But we know she has a brother, right? So she's going out very early in the morning, like this market woman will often go out very early in the morning with basket in her hand, to see what she can shop with the little money that she has. But she got information that the price of goods has doubled, so she's scared, she's worried. Okay, she might not be able to return with something substantial or anything at all. So let's see the question from question 7. The mood of the passage. What's the mood you got when you read that prose and when we discussed it? Is it joyful? No. She's not excited. There's nothing joyful there. Is it hopeful? No. Is it excited? No. It's actually pensive. What is pensive? In English language, if you don't know the meaning of a word, you'll find difficulty in getting the answer to it. So the first thing you want to know is try to get what the meaning of that word is. So what's pensive? Pensive rather. So pensive is a state of being in deep thought, like critical thinking. You understand that kind of thing? She's walking along a path. She's lost in her own thoughts, thinking about her financial condition. Now she has to fend for her family. She's got nobody. So the mood of the passage is pensive. We are told the story of a lady who is financially challenged. Alright, so option C is the correct answer. 8 now. The main conflict in the passage is what? What's the conflict in the passage from this option? A. Ada's fear of the dark. Is it that she's scared of the dark? No, we didn't see anything there to lead us to that conclusion. Ada's financial difficulty. Certainly, we know she's financially restrained. Ada's hatred for the market. Is it that she didn't like to go to the market, she was forced? No, didn't see anything to lead us to such a conclusion. Ada's quarrel with her brother. We're not told that she quarreled with her brother. So the logical and correct answer is B. She has or she had financial difficulty according to the passage. Question 9. The phrase, "a basket was light, but her heart was heavy," is an example of what? What's this figure of speech here? A basket was light. You see, it's in quotes. Her basket was light, but her heart was heavy. Is an example of what? So this is a paradox. A paradox is often two contradictory statements in one. Okay? Her basket was light, but her heart was heavy. It's a paradoxical statement. What of personification? Personification is simply attributing the character of a human to an inanimate thing. What is simile? The use of as or like in comparison. Hyperbole, exaggeration. Right? So paradox is the correct figure of speech for that phrase. Question 10. The narrative technique used in the passage is what? Is it first person? No. She is not recounting any story. She is a third person. Okay, we can see the use of she there. And we can see her name. So somebody is recounting a story. So it's a third person. It's a third person narrative technique. 11. The dominant theme of the passage is what? What's the conclusion in your mind as you read the story? What's the dominant theme of that passage? We have betrayal, poverty, hunger, success. Which one beckons to you? Is it betrayal? She wasn't betrayed by anybody. Is it poverty? No. Anger. Okay, is it poverty? Yes, rather. Anger. She's not angry. She's not successful in the passage. So she's poor. So that's the thing of the passage, the poor lady. So question, all right. So with that, we come to the end of that section where we had to pick out the correct answers from the prose. Now we go to unseen poem. What is an unseen poem, first of all? An unseen poem is a poem that you've not been given before to rehearse. You've not rehearsed, you're not aware of the poem. You have probably seen the poem for the first time as you looked at your question paper or on your computer screen. So that's an unseen poem, and it's often given by examiners to test your ability to read through questions. Okay? To know if you actually know this stuff, not the one that you've crammed the answer or understood the concept a lot. They want to test your on-the-spot thinking. Okay, so that's why GCE is giving you this unseen poem. Right, so let's read the poem and answer the question 12 to 16. Upon the hills, the farmers toil. Their sweat, like rivers, feed the soil. Yet in the town, the merchants feast, forgetting those who starve the least. Sad, very sad indeed. I'll take it again. Upon the hills, the farmers toil. Their sweat, like rivers, feed the soil. Yet in the town, the merchants feast, forgetting those who starve the least. How true? So true. It's the same today, right? Nobody cares for the farmers. In fact, they are even caught and trodden in villages where most of this is the story of what happens in most rural communities, especially in Africa. So merchants are enjoying this feast and forgetting those who starve and who are trodden to make it available. So I relate to it. Question 12 now. The rhyme scheme of the poem is what? Rhyme scheme. So let me teach you what a rhyme scheme is. Let's return to the comprehension now. See, say, upon the hills, the farmers toil. Their sweat like rivers feed the soil. Look at the vowel sound there. Hoi, hoi. Okay, yet in the town, the merchant feast, forgetting those who starve the least. So, feast, least. These two goes together, these two go together. So if you have to arrange this will be AA, B, B. Yeah? Because these two are the same. Line 1 and line 2 is the same. So let's give line 1, or let's give this sound A. Let's name this sound A. Because it's the same as this sound. So AA. But this sound is different. So we've seen our first B. And it's the same with this. So BB. So the correct option for let's now go to the question. So the rhyme scheme of the poem is what? A-A-B-E. You understand that now? So when you see it in the exam, in an unseen poem, you've not seen that poem before, you can definitely know what the right skill is. That's why this is very, very important. Now, if you're here to be subscribed and you have watched up to this extent and you're enjoying the class, you're not doing well. So smash the subscribe button as we continue. Question 13. The imagery in Sweat Like Rivers appeals to the sense of dash. You saw this phrase there. Sweat like rivers appeals to the sense of what? Let's go back to the to the poem. It says, upon the hills the farmers toil, their sweat like rivers feed the soil. Now to the question again. Question 13. The imagery in Sweat Like Rivers appeal to the sense of imagery. That's the first thing you have to look at. Imagery. What is imagery? What do you see with an image? When you talk about image, what do you use to picture an image? You use your eyes, so it appeals to the sense of sight. Okay, so as you read that poem and you came across this Sweat Like Rivers, your eye, you had like an imaginative play in your mind, right? So, and that happened with the sense of your body, the sight sense. Yeah, good. Question 14 now. The theme of the poem is what? What can we deduce as the theme of that poem? Is it urban prosperity? No, it's not the prosperity of the city, people living in the urban areas. Rural hardship, joy in labor. There was no joy there. That poem is without joy. Celebration of wealth? No, it's not celebrating any wealth. It's actually telling us of farmers who suffer, who labor, who toil to make food available, yet the merchants and the rich, have no regard for them. So it's talking about rural hardship. That's B. Now, question 15. The dominant literary device in Sweat Like Rivers is what? The dominant literary device in Sweat Like Rivers is what? Or let's just say, what figure of speech, or what expression, what figure of speech is in this expression? Sweat like rivers. Now you must know, by just looking at the expression, like, what figure of speech is used for like or as? That's what? Simile. So we use simile for in like or as. Maybe as bold as a lion, as tall as a giraffe. Okay? Yeah. So if there is no like, and maybe it's sweat, let's say there's no like in it, and it's still a figure of speech that looks like this, it will be metaphor. Okay, right? So because there's a like there, it's a simile. Okay, question 16. The attitude of the poet towards the farmer. Okay, who is the poet? The one who wrote the poem. What's his attitude? As you read that poem, what can you say is the attitude of the poet towards the farmers? Okay, is what? Is it contempt? Does he hate them? No. Admiration. Yes, he has admiration, regard for those farmers. He's actually saying that the merchants disregard them and they should be regarded, because without them, the merchants will be dead, gone. So, admiration. And then we go to 17. All right, so with that, we come to the end of that section. And we are moving to general context. Shakespeare, one of the legends in literature. 17. In Shakespearean tragedy, the downfall of the hero is often caused by dash. In other words, in Shakespearean tragedy literatures or tragedy writings, the downfall of the hero or the protagonist is often caused by what? This supernatural being, fatal flaw, chorus dance is fatal flaw. Most times, they often commit a flaw that results in their downfall. Okay, in almost all of Shakespearean writings. Okay, 18. Etu Brote. Etu Brote is a famous line from Dash. Is it Macbeth? No. Hamlet, no. Julius Caesar or Othello. So the person who made this statement, et tu, Brute, was Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar. Do you know about Julius Caesar? You should know about Julius Caesar. You go and read about him. So he was a very, very, very great man. Very great man. And he made this statement when he was killed. He was stabbed. So at the time he was stabbed, the man who stabbed him, his name is Brute. So as the man stabbed him, as he was dying, he made this statement, Brute. It became a famous line. It's the same line that something similar to this line that Jesus Christ made to Judas, who came and kissed him. It says, "Are you betraying me with a kiss, Judas?" So this is something of such. 19. In Macbeth, Lady Macbeth persuades her husband to what? In Macbeth, Lady Macbeth persuades her husband to what? Is it fight Banquo, kill Duncan, flee Scotland, or crown Malcolm? So Lady Macbeth, in this book, this is the title of the writing. Okay? And Lady Macbeth was the bad character in the book. Okay? Her husband was not prone to doing bad stuff, but she's like that. If you have read this part of the Bible, where Jezebel, the story of Jezebel, she was like Jezebel, right? So, and she continued to push her husband to kill the king. The king name was Duncan, King Duncan. She pushed him to kill Duncan, King Duncan, and steal the throne. So that was Lady Macbeth in the story of the book, literature book Macbeth. Question 20. The quality of mercy is not strained is a line from The Merchant of Venice. And this was used in the courtroom when the case was being defended. So the quality of mercy is not strained. 21 now. In Hamlet, the phrase "to be or not to be" reflects Hamlet's dash. To be or not to be. Okay, when you read this statement, what does it even tell you from this option? To be or not to be. Is it courage? Indecision. It's indecision. Should I go? Should I not go? See that now. Should I do it? Should I not do it? So to be or not to be reflects Hamlet's indecision. He didn't know what to do. Yeah. Question 22 now. The supernatural elements in Macbeth is presented or represented by dash, the witches, the ghost of Banquo, the apparitions. All of these had supernatural elements in them in that writing, Macbeth. So the correct option is all of the above. And 24, 23. Okay, so we come to, I think this is about the last section of this particular past question tutorial. I'm sure you've been enjoying this. You want to see more of this, or you want to practice these questions, you can download the apps, our apps in the description of this video. You can find the link to download on iOS Store or Google Play Store and begin to practice these questions on the go, right? We also have for other subjects so that you can get yourself covering the whole GCE exam. Right, let's move on as we conclude. In Wole Soyinka's The Lion and the Jewel, Lakunle represents dash. So Lakunle was a teacher, a modern teacher. So he represents modernity. He refuses tradition and cultural locality in that writing by Wole Soyinka, The Lion and the Jewel. All right, question 24 now. The dramatic technique used most frequently in African plays is dash. You have soliloquy. Is this soliloquy, mime, song and dance, and aside? So the technique that we mostly use in African plays is song and dance. We're often using cultural songs and dance in African please. Another genre and culture that use song and dance is Indians, okay, Bollywood, Asia. So they also use song and dance. Right, 25. The Grieved Lands by Agostino Neto mainly addresses dash. The Grieved Lands was a writing by Agostino Neto that mainly addresses colonial oppression of African people by colonial masters. Yes, so it was on that. So A is the correct option. Then 26 now. The imagery of chains and shackles in African poetry usually symbolizes dash. When you see chains and shackles in African poetry, either poets or prose or whatever like that, what does it symbolize? It simply symbolizes oppression. Like I said when I was taking NABTEB literature in English exam, when you see chains and shackles, for example, you can see a flyer for an invitation to a church program, and you see hands lifted up, and then you see chains on both sides, okay, and then you see the chains are broken, often used to depict deliverance, right? So we use imagery of chains and shackles to symbolize oppression in African writings of poetry. 27. The Tone of Ambush by Gbemisola Adelti is mostly dash. You have comic, satiric, pessimistic, and indifferent. The correct option is pessimistic. Yeah, the tone of ambush. So Gbemisola was basically saying in this novel that many African leaders are using ambush to rule their people. Okay, and she continued to say that she's not sure the trend will stop. She's not sure it will change. Yes. So her tone in that novel was pessimistic. What's pessimism? It's just a state of having no bright future, a state of having no positivity, unlike a state of doubt or disbelief that something good would happen. And that was the state of mind of Gbemisola in that writing ambush regarding African leaders and the way they rule. For example, you can look at Nigeria for an example. What's the odds? Something drastic will have to happen for the country to experience a drastic change, forward or upward. 28 now. In John Donne's Death Be Not Proud, death is portrayed as what? So John Donne was a religious writer, and this book contains a lot of religious theme. So John Donne portrayed death as weak, against the popular African notion of death being the powerful. Even some people worship death. They see death as being the Lord. When you watch a lot of Yoruba movies, you even see them chant odes to death, Oriki, to death, just like they would do to Shango and Ogun. They also do to death, and some people worship death. All right. So, but John Oates was breaking that myth that death is not powerful. Okay, that there is a life after death, eternal life, and that was more powerful because it shows a continuity. But death is just a close of events. All right. And most people don't even know that they died. They died. They're not even aware. All right. So it portrayed death as weak. 29. The central theme of Robert Frost, The Road Not Taken, is dash. From that writing, The Road Not Taken, what is the theme, the central theme? Was it joy? Definitely not. It's choice and consequences. So Robert Frost was simply telling us that whatever choice you make today has a consequence. If you take a good choice, it has consequence. Okay, and you don't have a choice but to live with the consequence of the choice you've made today, good or bad, right? So that's what basically that novel is all about, the summary. And then the final question for this literature in English session, question 30. In Alexander's Pope poetry, now who is Alexander Pope? He was an Augustine Pope, okay? Very popular in the 18th century. It was very popular. So in Alexander Pope poetry, the use of heroic couplets is a feature of the Dash century, the feature of the 18th century. Like I said, it was popular in the 18th century, okay? And he used a lot of heroic couplets in his writing, Italian style. So it was very popular for that. All right, so with that, I've given you brief and yet detailed explanation of these top 30 likely questions. I have no doubt in my mind that many of these questions, something really similar to them, you will encounter in your NECO or WAEC GCE exam. So make sure you master them a whole lot more. And then you can add this to what you study using your past questions. You can get past questions too, as these using our apps. Just download them from the Google Store or the iOS Store and begin to practice them. You can also request to purchase those questions through the comment section of this video. If you have a different opinion to some of the answers I've left, or maybe I didn't answer one or two correctly, why not? You can give me your thoughts in the comment section and I'll be happy to look into them. I'll see you another time. Bye. Hi, I'm sure you enjoyed the content you just watched. To see more episodes as that, preparing you for your oncoming exams, smash the subscribe button on this channel right now and visit the playlist that we've made for you, covering over 50 types of different exams, including JAMB, WAEC, Kakao,